Where do you get ideas? How do you get ideas? How do you get good ideas? How do you define good ones from bad ones? There's so many questions. Hello, my name is Marmalade. If you're new here, I'm a costume designer, idol, seamstress, creator, general content creator, whatever the amalgamation of creative things that I do. And today I want to share a little bit about my creative process, especially when it comes to designing costumes. So understanding creativity is something that I have always tried to pursue, and I can look back to even high school when I was interviewing people for art assignments, trying to figure out what exactly made them creative. Where did they get the ideas behind a lot of their work? Creativity is something that I've always felt is so important and never really taught in schools. I'm somebody who studied art throughout all of high school and then went on to do a BFA in fine arts film. But I feel like they mostly focus on the rules, the techniques, the theories, the history, which is really important to know, but less so on actual idea generation and how to make yourself more creative or put yourself in a creative mood. Being creative is so important, to me it's so tied up with being optimistic or seeing other ways of doing things. It's about problem solving, and it's also hugely about self-expression, an important way to define who you are as a human being, being able to share what lights you up inside, or the opposite, whatever feelings you express through art, whatever medium you choose. So today I really want to share with you what my creative process is, because it is a process that I've developed. I've spent years now doing commissions and sewing clothing and costumes for a long time, and if you're somebody who wants to develop their craft more and be a little bit more intentional about the way that you work, I just really want to share with you my approach and the way that I do things, because honestly I am not the most disciplined person ever. I really do quite often do things just when I feel like doing them, but of course I'm also somebody who can work to a deadline and get things done. So let me get into it. Starting off with the most important and I think motto philosophy behind a lot of what I do: time and attention. Approach every creative project with time and attention. That is what you're going to give to this project. But to be able to do that and step into it in the right mental and physical space, you need to take care of yourself. You didn't think I was going to call you out this soon in the video, did you? Because I'm talking about self-care. That's right, we are avoiding burnout, and to be able to be in a creative mood, I find the best ideas come to you when you're well fed, you've drunk enough water, when you've had enough sleep, when you're not stressed. You don't have the time to be creative when you're worried about things like paying your bills. And part of what I like to do includes, in a less dramatic way, is making sure that my space is set up to be creative. So making sure that I have water already, a bottle filled up ready to go, making sure that I have snacks if I'm feeling hungry that day, making sure that my phone is on do not disturb, things that set up an environment and a piece around myself, and making sure that I take care of myself, okay? I need to make sure that I've freshly showered, I put on some nice clothes, I make sure I brush my hair. Sometimes I'll do my makeup as well, just to feel like I am coming into the work as my best self. And a huge part of that process today, I'm super excited to share with you, is a sponsorship. The brands Ana Luisa reached out to me to be able to work together on this YouTube video. Ana Luisa is a high quality jewelry brand actually based in New York City in USA, and they sent me 3 stunning, beautiful pieces that I'm wearing right now in this video, and I've actually been wearing for the past month. If you've been paying attention to my vlogs in great detail, you might have seen them. These pieces, I am obsessed. As soon as I saw these designs on the website, I knew I had to pick them out. They are like these most gorgeous little flower. This has been quality tested. Like I said, I've been wearing it for the last month, been seeing if they are water resistant, humidity resistant, and yes, they last, okay? They also do free shipping if you're in the US, I'm pretty sure, and they do have like pretty affordable shipping rates if you're in Australia or here in Japan like me. And they also do exchanges. Not only that, they also have like a 2-year warranty guarantee as well, which I love about jewelry. And they've also sent me a nice little discount code for you guys to use to get 20% off. I'll leave a link to it in the description as well. So if you're interested in matching with me with some super cute jewelry as we do our creative work, let's go girls. I actually have a tiny micro story that I do want to share. When I was a kid, I loved jewelry, even like primary school and everything. And I grew up going to a school with a lot of wealthier kids. I was not as wealthy, and so I would see them always wearing really nice jewelry, even though they were like in primary school, and going to Disneyland and things like that on the holidays. And there was time being at like the after school daycare where I would see jewelry in the lost and found, and I would like steal it. Like I would literally steal it. So I feel like for me, this was such a nice collab through YouTube, through making videos and doing my creative work. I like bought myself jewelry is what it feels like, but thank you so much, Anna Luisa, for working with me for this brand. I already want to own more pieces. I have my eyes on a few of the heart icon. Maybe I will invest in a few more high quality pieces. Getting right back to it. So step 2 or phase 2 for me is the inspiration phase. You want to be clear about some inspiration that you're going to draw from when you're approaching your creative work. So when I'm designing, I really like to consider the colors schemes, the season, the theme, other clothes, some designers, and I like to use Pinterest a lot for this. But it's also important sometimes to channel your own feelings into a piece. When I was designing costumes for Melody Parade a lot, I would always consider what we wanted to feel while we were wearing these costumes. I like to make sure that each costume that I design has a clear purpose in mind, and I want the person wearing it, whenever they put it on, to feel that they are capable of going for whatever they are wearing that for. So in a lot of cases, I make a lot of idol costumes, so I really want to make sure that whenever my clients are wearing my costumes, that they feel like they are the best version of themselves, ready to go on stage, feeling amazing, feeling confident, and that the costume reflects their personality and even brings out more aspects of that through the design. Phase 3 is the planning phase. Now, you might want to skip this as a creative. I think a lot of people do skip this, but this is something that I did learn through doing school, is that it helps immensely to make an action step plan for every step of the journey, especially when you're tackling a big process like a costume. If you're a cosplayer, you know that planning out your cosplay is very important, and it helps avoiding you getting stuck. So it means that when you face a problem, you kind of can face that in the early stage of the process, then look for solutions to those steps rather than getting really stuck mid-project. Now, the way I like to do this is I use Notion, I also use Google Docs, and sometimes I even resort to my iPhone notes as well. Whatever system works best for you. If you want a handwritten notebook, that works too. Whatever helps you to be able to see every step, because then when you're going through it, being able to tick that off feels good too. You've got a little win under your belt to keep going and keep up that momentum as you work on your creative task. Phase 4, the right tools. Now, this might sound goofy, but a lot of the time I feel really guilty investing, and maybe you're the same, in new hobby equipment, because there's this fear of being like, what if I buy it and then I don't end up using it? But let me tell you, it is so important and undervalued to make sure that you have the right tools for the project. Having the wrong tools could mean that you end up taking like 4 times, 10 times the amount of time it might take to create it if you have the right tools. Now, yes, I do really encourage being resourceful, because I think that's creative in itself. But let me like technological comparison for you here. Because if I was to sew this without a sewing machine, it would literally take me like a year. Instead, I'm able to make this work a lot quicker because I have a machine to do it for me. In the same vein, it's like using a calculator to solve a math problem rather than trying to work it out on paper. Yes, it's fine to work it out on paper. It's not saying it's right or wrong, but some things you're gonna get to faster. Imagine building a pyramid and you have to lift every single bit of rock onto that pyramid, whereas if you invent some kind of like dolly wheelie system, it's gonna be a lot quicker. You need the right tools for the right project. So don't feel bad investing in like really high quality pair of fabric scissors, because you're going to need them to be able to cut out your fabric. And there is of course a limit to this, so do be mindful in what you're buying and do your research before just going off shopping. And now we're on to the last phase, phase 5, which is the execution. In this phase, you do have to push through the mental pain and all of the thoughts that come up when you're creating, because for me at least, and I'm sure you can probably relate, this is the part where you kind of have to face your own insecurities sometimes, or doubting and being like, oh man, what I'm making, this is so bad. Why do I know how to do this? This is turning out terrible. And it's the same thing for me as like working out and doing something physical. Yeah, it sucks to walk up like a huge hill, huge stairs. You might feel that pain in your legs as you're lifting weights. The feeling you get after having worked out and done an amazing session at the gym is satisfying. And then you know what? You end up with a healthier, happier body, whatever. So it's the same thing for me when I'm working through a creative idea. Yes, there's so much confrontation, fears and doubts that you have to push through. And when you finally get the solution and the idea fits and it clicks, when you're editing a video and it finally makes sense or it feels good in the flow, you've got the pacing, that feels amazing. And you get a little ego boost from that. You're like, yeah, I made that. On to the next one kind of thing. It's so important that you are able to handle those emotions. And I would say it's the biggest thing that I notice in a lot of my friends that hold them back, and it's terrible and I wish I could help them more, but it's really something that you need to face on your own. And again, I wish we were taught this more in school, because everyone handles it. I think everyone, unless you're like a sociopath or a narcissist, everybody faces those kinds of feelings. It's hugely about allowing yourself to have bad ideas to get to the good one. And I think social media definitely hasn't helped with that, because you only end up seeing the perfect iterations of a lot of people's work, and they don't really share the less good sketches or the doodles or the failures, the clothing that doesn't come together. So sometimes for me, it's really important to ground myself and be able to look back at my own work, not someone else's, my own work, and see just how far I've come in terms of my own creative ideas. I also think it's really important to sometimes change it up a little bit, like what we're talking about with your environment. If you end up stuck, if you end up feeling like you're not getting any ideas, maybe change where you are, change where you're working, change how you're working. Maybe you need to test a different medium. I don't always stick to my iPad and doing doodles. Sometimes I like to use a paper block as well, just to really help my ideas flow. This is what I mean, where I feel like discipline sometimes isn't that important. You just need to have the right tools and strategies to know how to let yourself be creative as comfortably whatever mood you're in. And like I said, I think your personal feelings inspire a lot of the work that you do. So even if you're feeling negative, allow yourself to push that negativity through your work. Heck, please go cry sketch. It will help, I guarantee you. And you don't have to show that to anyone. You can keep that to yourself. I think being creative and creating art is such a personal thing, but I really enjoy sharing my work with others, because I think it's kind of a weird vulnerability thing of being like, look at what I made. It does take a bit of courage, it does take a bit of bravery, but the reward of seeing other people then also feel motivated to create, because a lot of you tell me that. A lot of you say, when I see you're working on a project on Instagram, even if it's a story, they also then feel like sewing. And I hope that that's real. I'm trusting your word, that's real, a real feeling that. And so I encourage you to be a little brave and put yourself out there, whether that's being creative through songwriting, instrumenting, whatever like creative medium you feel most drawn to. Even if it's a few, go for it, because you never know what you might create. I think everybody is creative, and even though there's a bit of a feeling for me of being like, wow, there are no original ideas, you'd be surprised. I think that each unique person has their own take on things, and so no matter what, because you're the one making it, as long as you're not copying and plagiarizing, if you're taking inspiration from several things, you will end up with something original no matter what. And the more time you spend developing your own creative vision, the better you're going to get. Probably the main reason behind why I love creating content on the internet, because I get to be creative no matter what that looks like. I've always had the freedom to explore my personality through several different mediums, whether it be drawing and designing or sewing, and even things like decorating Checky when I'm doing my idol stuff. Every little thing like that has an opportunity for me to be creative, and I always want to have that freedom no matter what I do in my career. So I hope I was able to inspire you, or maybe shine light on my creative process, see that it's a bit of a mess, and that's okay sometimes. That's okay all the time. And I just want to thank again to Ana Luisa for sponsoring me and sending me this beautiful, beautiful jewelry that I'm going to continue to wear for a very long time. And please check out the link in the description box if you would like to invest in your own high quality jewelry, and we can match and it'll be cute. And let me know if you enjoyed this kind of video. I know it's like different from what I'm normally doing, but I really feel excited to change up the kind of videos that I've been making and see what sticks, what works, what feels good. I think it's fun to like sit down and have a chat about something that matters a lot to me and that I want to be able to have more conversations about with you on here. So thank you so much again for joining me. I hope you've had a lovely day. Please make sure to go drink water and look after yourself, dress up, and then be creative. Go get it. Bye!